My favorite story is the story of how me and my girlfriend started dating.
Ooh!
It all happened my senior year of high school. At the time, she had a bad boyfriend. She was in a rough relationship with somebody who didn't treat her right and didn't appreciate her. We, at the time, knew each other since sixth grade, doing musicals together and shows together and being in choir and all sorts of things that had to do with music. During the time they dated, he never went to support her and watch her perform more than once. And the only time he did was because she had to beg him to do it. And that was our senior musical, the first time she had her lead role. So he came, and right after the performance, he went to leave without even talking to her. But she luckily caught him, grabbed him, and said, where are you going? What did you think? And he said, you were flat the entire time, and the whole show didn't make sense, so it was stupid. That just crushed her self-esteem and her spirits, and rightfully so. That was hard to hear. So she came and she found me, and she had tears in her eyes, and she told me what happened, and I didn't know what to do. So I just hugged her, and I told her that everything was going to be okay. Everything happens for a reason, I'd help her get through whatever she needed. And after that, we became really close. We started Skyping regularly, almost every day. And when we did Skype, we'd Skype for hours on end. Just talk about everything. We'd talk about our past, what we hope for the future, everything. She kept telling me she was not happy. And, I'm not going to lie, I was interested in her, but I didn't want to overstep my bounds. I didn't want to push her to do anything she didn't want to do. But I fed her support that she needed and said, if he's not right for you, you need to do what's best for you and go your own way. And I didn't even tell her that to try to get her for me. I just told her that because I thought that was what's best for her. So a few days went by, and one day I tried calling her on Skype like I usually do, and she wouldn't answer. And that was very unlike her, so it kind of scared me a little bit. I was worried. I didn't know what was going on. So I texted her a few times, she didn't answer. I had no sign of what was going on. And that was probably one of the scariest things ever, not hearing from her. Eventually later she texted me and she told me that night she broke up with her boyfriend. And later on down the road she would go on to tell me that she broke up with her boyfriend only because I helped her get the strength to believe in herself and then believe that she deserved better. So we kept talking, and after a few days, everything was fine. I liked her. I'd be lying if I said I didn't think about, dating her and this and that, but I thought that what we had was great, and I enjoyed just being friends with her. And that was that until we started talking about prom. And she told me that she did not want to go to prom because she didn't have a date, and she didn't want to be the girl that went alone. She told me, unless she found the right partner to go with her, the right person asked her. And so at that point, I kind of felt like she was nudging me in the right direction, so I said, okay. And I decided that I was going to ask her to prom. So I racked my brain for hours and hours trying to figure out what the best way to ask her to prom was. And eventually it hit me. I've been a musician my entire life. I love music. And that's how we became so close, was through being in different ensembles and in different musicals and even just in the car singing Justin Bieber to each other on rides home. I knew I had to sing a song to her. So I chose One Direction's song, Little Things. So over the next few days, I kicked it into overdrive. I learned the song. I rehearsed the song. I picked out what I was going to do, how I was going to sing it, how I was going to say, will you go to prom with me? And everything was coming together. And then the day came. It was Cultural Heritage Day at my school, and that was basically the day in my high school where all the different cultures around the world were celebrated, and different foods from different cultures were eaten and tried by students, and different music was played and performed. On that day, I was representing American culture with three other friends. We were doing a barbershop quartet. I knew I wasn't going to see her much that day, so I knew I had to make the most out of the right moment. So that morning, when I went into school, I walked up to her and I tried with my coolest voice, and I asked her if she'd meet me in the band room after school. And she kept asking me why, but I wouldn't tell her because I thought, the suspense would make it more exciting. So eventually she agreed, and she said, "Okay, I'll meet you." And that was that. I walked off. I smiled at her as I left, and she smiled back. And then I went about my day. The day went, for the most part, pretty fast. I performed with the barbershop quartet. And really everything flew by until the last 10 minutes before I performed. And that was because I was setting up, getting the band room ready to, ask her to prom, when I realized there was a huge problem. There was no piano in the band room. How was I supposed to sing and play piano for this girl that I'm trying to ask to prom without a piano in the band room? So at that point, I started freaking out. I started running up and down the school, trying to find this piano. And eventually I find it. It was in the auditorium or whatever for Cultural Heritage Day. And I unplug it all, I grab it, and I'm sprinting full speed back to the band room in a full tuxedo after performing with the barbershop quartet. And I must have looked like an idiot just running down the halls of the high school with a piano in hand and a full tuxedo. But I got it back, I set everything up, and I sat down just in time for her to walk in. And I had told all her friends, obviously, because I wanted them to get a group. So the first thing I saw was 30, 40 people walk into the room, and then she was the last person in, but she was the most important in. She looked beautiful to me. She was wearing her kilt to represent her culture. And she walked over to the piano and sat down next to me on the bench, and I sang to her. And at the end, I turned to her and I asked her if she'd go to prom with me. And it seemed like forever until she responded with yes, she would. So I gave her rose, and that was that. She drove me home, and we decided we'd go to the mall that night. And at the mall, we decided that we wanted to date each other. We thought it'd be a good idea, and we thought it'd be fun, and it'd be right because we enjoyed each other's company. And that was that. The rest is history. We've been together ever since, and I'm happy every day that I'm with her.